The importance of limitation. Now, what do I mean by that? Media. The limitation of media. To be even more specific, I want to go more in depth on music, movies, shows, that kind of stuff. I think it's very important that we limit not our intake, but our availability of different media. Our world today is very limitless. We have unlimited options of what to choose from: movies, music, anything. If you want it, it's out there somewhere. You can get it anytime, anywhere. And that is not by any means a bad thing. We can intake so many more cultures, watch any kinds of movies we want, explore new genres. But the problem is, we have so many options, we don't know what to choose from. And when we do choose, we're not enjoying them as much. One way of enjoying them or getting more enjoyment out of them is owning physical media. I think owning physical media is very important and very fun. But that's kind of a different topic that I'm still learning about and would love to talk about more as I learn more. But I want to focus more on the limitation and what happens when we have too much or it's unlimited. I remember a time when I was younger, I had the iPod Touch when that first came out, and me being very young, I was very limited as to what I could have for songs on there, and it being through Apple Music, you had to buy all of them. You did get to own them, which was very nice, but any song that you wanted, you had to pay for. So I had a very limited amount of songs on there. But because it was limited, I would play those songs non-stop, like all the time, and it would be the same enjoyment every single time I'd play them. My favorite song that I had on there, I had like half of an album from Ed Sheeran. I would play those songs all the time, anywhere I went, non-stop, and it was great. I never got bored. Today, I've got Spotify. I have an entire playlist of songs, and I skip 90% of them until I find the song that I finally want to listen to. And even then, I can only listen to that song like maybe 2 times, maybe a little bit more, but then I get bored. What happened? Of course, I've changed. Music's different, everything like that, but it's different still. Why is it that when I was that young child, I got so much more enjoyment out of those few songs than I ever can now, out of the millions, the billions, even unlimited amount of songs on Spotify? Yes, I was a young child. I probably got a lot more enjoyment out of it because of that reason as well. But also, I had no other option. Those are the only songs I had on there. If I wanted any more, I would have to buy them or ask my parents to buy them, and that couldn't always happen. It was because I was limited to those songs, I got so much more enjoyment out of them. I wasn't always looking for the next best thing. Those were the best thing. That was the best thing I could get. And so I enjoyed it so much more. So what can we do? Of course, we're not going to completely limit ourselves from what we can intake and what we're going to listen to and what we're going to watch. But what can we realistically change that'll give us more enjoyment out of what we get? And I suppose in some ways this kind of shifts back over into owning physical media. But I think purchasing the movies or the music that you listen to really changes everything, because number one, it feels like you're working more hard to get the individual song or movie or show that you want to listen to or watch. And this doesn't have to be physical, it can be digital too. But also it takes more time, and you're focusing on less at a time. You're either focusing on a couple songs or one show that you're going to purchase, and then you're going to listen to those until you want to move on to the next thing, and then you're going to work towards the next thing. This isn't an example from my own life, but I fairly recently, a couple months ago, purchased the soundtrack to ReZero on vinyl or record, whatever you want to call it. And I have listened to the same singular song on that record so many times now, and enjoyed it just as much, if not more, every single time I listen to it, which I think is a very good example, but also realization for me personally, even as I'm saying this, to the Limitless, because I only own 2 records, but only having that song on there because I enjoy listening to records, it changes everything. And it's a soundtrack that I really enjoy. I'm sitting there giving it my full attention. I could listen to it on Spotify if I wanted to, but then it would move on to the next song and the next song and the next song, and if I wanted to listen to it again, I'd have to go back. Whereas this record is the only thing I own. Even if I own more records, which I own a couple others, I have to switch it out entirely. It takes more work. Or I could just listen to the same song again, get that same enjoyment that I already had. Anyway, the point I wanted to make was, sometimes when given unlimited options, we've got nothing to do but pick nothing, because we're so overwhelmed with how much is there. Sometimes the best thing is just to limit yourself a little bit. Have limited options as to what to pick, and oftentimes you will enjoy those limited options way more. And I'm not saying you have to get rid of all your streaming services or whatever you listen to music on or anything like that, but maybe just keep this in mind and try to think of some ways where you can limit yourself a little bit more and give yourself a little bit more enjoyment from the things that you actually love.